afternoon, everyone. My name is Megan Howard. I'm an assistant chief with the Houston Police Department. I have with me here Commander Hassig from Homicide Division, as well as Commander Estrada from Downtown Division. We're here today because we had an officer-involved shooting, and I'll give you the preliminary details that we have at this time. Obviously, this will be a lengthy investigation. It'll take time to get all the details, but here's an initial broad brush view of what we have. Earlier today, members of multiple divisions were conducting a proactive investigation looking for auto thieves. So we had members from Auto Theft Division, multiple crime suppression teams, and they located a vehicle with suspects who appeared to be doing some pre-theft behaviors. So they were scouting, and so the teams then followed. We had undercover officers monitoring, conducting surveillance, waiting to see what they would do. After some time, the vehicle ended up here in the 10300 block of East Freeway. In a very short amount of time, they parked next to a truck, a new truck. One of the suspects got out, and within seconds, both vehicles are leaving, or they're pulling out of that parking spot. Officers with the crime suppression teams and auto theft, they moved in to block in the vehicles. So now at this point, we have one suspect in a freshly stolen vehicle, as well as one suspect in the original suspect vehicle. The suspect who was in their original vehicle fled the scene immediately, drove over the grass, so did not exit through a driveway, made a very hasty exit. And then we had units who then began a vehicle pursuit following that suspect. The other suspect was coming through the driveway that's right over there, the driveway adjacent to us. There we had a marked vehicle, a marked patrol vehicle come up. It was blocking the driveway. We had one of our officers exit the vehicle, and they were trying to perform a felony stop, trying to maintain positions of safety and get some voluntary compliance from the suspect. The suspect, instead of complying, began to reverse, and so we have officers trying to maneuver, and then that suspect vehicle began driving forward. So we have an officer who had just exited the marked patrol vehicle. He's in full HPD gear, clearly marked as an officer, armed with a shotgun. We have this other vehicle, the suspect, the vehicle that fled earlier was the freshly stolen vehicle. This is the original suspect vehicle. Suspect is driving towards the officer. Officer discharges 2 times. Suspect stops actually right here in the service road, bails out of the car, and then runs on foot. Ran across multiple lanes of East Freeway, the eastbound and then the westbound lanes, across the service road and into a neighborhood. Suspect managed to dodge vehicles. Our officers carefully did their best to keep their eyes on the suspect. They also pursued, ended up on the other side of the vehicle, of the freeway. The officers tried to keep sight and then began setting up a perimeter. This was a very chaotic scene. We have 2 suspects going in different directions, one in a vehicle, one on foot. We have an officer who's just discharged his weapon, so it was chaotic. All this was unfolding around the 12:30 hour, give or take some minutes. The vehicle that fled, our officers pursued. We had the assistance of K9. It ended up going north on 59. Humble PD ended up joining and assisting. The suspect then eventually gave up. Thank you to Humble PD for assisting. So the suspect ended up just giving up, was compliant. Officers were able to place him in custody, recovered that freshly stolen vehicle, able to bring it back to the scene so that the owner could take immediate possession of their vehicle that had just been stolen. All of that happened over the course of maybe 30, 40 minutes. There's still an on-the-ground perimeter that's being set, actively trying to find this other suspect. They were pointing in the direction of Duncombe Street, which is just north of the service road. Thankfully, citizens were able to point out a couple things. Suspect had shed his shirt, so he was shirtless, and we were able to locate him, I believe, in a garage or a shed. It might have been a tool shed. They were able to place him in custody. No further incident. No suspects were injured. No officers are injured. This location is in Jacinto City. Jacinto City Police Department is on scene. They will conduct a parallel criminal investigation. We'll conduct our criminal investigation. As with all officer-involved shootings, the district attorney's office will review the incident, present it to a grand jury for a finding, either a true bill or a no bill. We'll have our parallel administrative internal affairs investigation. For the next several days, the officer will be on administrative leave while he goes through the usual post-critical incident process. Within 30 days, our current procedure is to release that body camera video with some explanation. That will happen, as usual, within 30 days. At this time, are there any questions?
So the one that fled the scene, that was a truck?
The question was, yes, the truck that fled the scene was the freshly stolen vehicle. It was parked here. One of the suspects forced entry, was able to get in and fled. That was the fresh stolen.
What's the vehicle that they arrived in?
They arrived in, it was like an Escalade or a Tahoe SUV.
Were these people that were in their equipment for other auto thefts? They were on the radar, or they were just randomly watching them?
So they were engaging in behaviors that are consistent with professionals who do this all the time. So we do believe that they're probably linked to other incidents. That'll certainly be a part of the investigation.
But they weren't necessarily being targeted in an operation.
That'll be a part of the investigation. They observed them scouting out other vehicles, and so that's why they stayed with them today.
Anything else?
I'm hard of hearing, so if you just clarify, is the vehicle that was attempted to be stolen, is that still on scene?
It has been returned. I don't know if the complainant has left with it. The vehicle was on scene earlier, and I just apologize. I'm not sure if the complainant has left with the vehicle yet. Good.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Appreciate it.